Alright, so we are recording. Welcome to part 1 of 3 of the events that I'm leading as part of the Agile 2023 Festival. I'm calling these the Retrospective Chronicles. Anyone who has followed any of my work on LinkedIn or elsewise will know I'm a big fan of retrospectives. I'm a big fan of using themes to do retrospectives, and today's retro delves into the past. Next week we'll be looking at the present, and the week after that the future. So I'm going to bring everyone to where I am right now, just to remind everyone, or let everyone know the desired outcomes from this session. Today we want to delve into the past. So it's been 20 years since the Agile Manifesto's creation. We want to celebrate the successes that Agile has helped bring to fruition. We want to retrospect as an Agile community on the manifesto itself, not just as a team, project or organisation. And ultimately we want to create some community-driven insight and lessons learned that people can take away and have access to. I will let you all know that there is a little badge you can collect. You can put your name down here if you wish to do so, to capture the fact that you're an attendee and part of these retrospective chronicles. So do fill your name out if you wish to do so. There is a slide here I've created for anyone who's unfamiliar with Miro. There is some hints and tips on how to use it. Today, for the most part, all you'll really be doing is using post-it notes, so just double-clicking a post-it note. Do ensure that you've pressed V on your keyboard or selected the little blue cursor on the left-hand nav panel to be able to interact with things on the board. And we'll also be using copy and paste, so we're going to use Giphy at some point to share a few things. Now, on to the main crux of what we're doing here, so this retrospective. As mentioned, big fan of themes, and today, given we are very close to Valentine's Day, we have a Valentine's Day theme. So, we've got 5 questions around the Agile Manifesto and Agile in general, all within the Valentine's Day theme. And what we'll do is each section will have around about 8 minutes or so on it, a bit of time for silent reflection before we discuss and share what we've come up with. So the very first question is, what's your Agile love story? So when and why did you fall for Agile? Where did Cupid's arrow strike you? Again, we want to hear some great celebrations of Agile and the Agile Manifesto has helped bring. So this section tends to share, when you fell in love with Agile, what was your story? Would love to hear those. So if I could ask you all to interact with the Miro board, to type in those post-it notes what your Agile story is, do share with the community. And thanks for Omar for sharing the origin of the name Miro. Miro, I'm still not going to get used to that for a long time. But yes, I will set a timer for 8 minutes, and the first 3 or so we'll just do some silent thinking, and then we will share our stories. If anyone has any issues accessing or using Miro, then do let me know. I'll do my best to help out there. And if you prefer to speak out loud, feel free also. Just want to make sure that everyone can interact in the way they prefer to do so.
All right, Chris, are we leaving we're just filling them in and just leaving them there, or are we moving them about somewhere?
Just leave them next to the section, so what's your Agile love story? Anywhere in that section, just leave them there. No need to move them anywhere. They should all stay within the area of that question. And obviously size them appropriately. Alright, so we've got someone's attending the Agile tour in Beirut. University 13 years ago during an XP class. Design thinking during advertising decades ago, getting the chance to fulfill a Scrum Master role. A nice story about being introduced to Agile 15 years ago, working as a program manager, and loving the people aspect of it and the community. back in 2008 and 9 years to start being Agile. Fell in love with Agile when I realised Waterfall wasn't delivering good work for advertising. Oh, someone's gone rogue and's putting a yellow post-it note in. Go for it. We can always recolour it later. Don't ruin my lovely Valentine's Day theme. Make it pink. 8 years ago, fell in love after being a non-believer and turned into a Scrum Master within 6 weeks. Outstanding. And someone fell in love with Agile when they saw it. Love at first sight. Alright, so we've had about 3 minutes or so of just silent reflection time. I'd love to just hear from you guys now. Tell your story. I'll start if that's okay. I fell in love with Agile back when I was working in a very waterfall environment as part of a consultancy back in 2012, and it just made sense. Why wouldn't you want to iterate frequently, learn often, pivot accordingly based on what you learn? It just made so much sense, and I remember the lead developer Shebin introducing me to it. It was wonderful, and I've been a convert ever since. Anyone else want to share? Is that you going for a Shelby?
Chris.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I was the one that put down, so I started my life as a program manager in finance, and was told about this wonderful world of Agile and said no. Went off on a couple of away days with some Agile coaches, and I was just like, woof, sign me up, where do I start? And then from there fell in love with the people aspect of it as well, and the community that it brings, and sort of believe that whole notion of believing in actually the people that you have working for you, and like knowing that that you know we're adults, we were hired to do a job, we know our job, and you know these are the people that can feed in to make that project or product get out to our customer, and that's kind of where I fell in love.
Wonderful, thanks for sharing. Anyone else want to share their Agile love story? Perhaps the person who put that bright yellow post-it note?
I'll share, Chris, but I wasn't the yellow post-it note person. Yeah, basically, I was the one that put down the design thinking and working in advertising decades ago. So I started life out as a graphic designer, and naturally it's just a very agile kind of way of working anyway. You're dealing with iterations consistently. It's collaboration over contract negotiation, people over processes, that kind of thing. So it was very natural to go into that. I didn't realise I was actually doing agile until really sort of about 5-6 years ago, when someone says, oh, have you heard of Agile? No, what is it? And we said, well, you sort of do it. So I naturally delved into it and worked out, that this is what I've been doing, and got myself on a few courses, and became certified in various things, and that's basically sort of very natural into it without realizing it. So I love the way of working, and I like what it stands for. And I'm here to find out, where it's been, where it's going.
Awesome, thank you. How about Miriam or Kim?
Well, to be very honest, don't laugh, Miriam. I wasn't a fan right from the start. But then again, we got introduced to... I hated it. But that was... in hindsight, that was probably basically due to the fact that it was all explained completely wrong. Therefore, my perception was wrong. So I was like, no, I'm a tester. This isn't going to work for me, and leave me alone. Just let me work Waterfall, because that works properly for me. And then at one point, I got a chance to work as a Scrum Master and actually understand what it was to work Agile and to work Scrum. And from that point on, yes, I did fall in love with it.
So a slow burn rather than an instant fall in love.
Yep.
We are friends, so we know each other. We have big idea. One of Scrum Master in 6 weeks is mine. And when I started, she was still a non-believer, and she was like, "How can you do that? And it's stupid." But I was the same when I started that project. I was a consultant, and I was hired as an Agile tester for a Salesforce project, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, we're just going to do the testing, do it waterfall, whatever. This is the same as RUP and all the other things. It will fly over in a few months." Yeah, 6 weeks later, I was Scrum Master, and now I'm an Agile coach and PhD. So, things changed. And I'm really proud of how Kim evolved and what she learned and what she has been doing last year. It's crazy how fast and steep her learning curve is. So, really cool to see.
Excellent. I always love hearing these community stories. Right, that was section number 1 finished. So let's move on to the next one. So this next question, and I've got it next to the image of "I love you more than tacos." What do you love most about the Agile Manifesto? Which principle or value gives you butterflies? What gives you that loving feeling? So again, a bit of time for silent reflection. Perhaps share your favourite principle or value of the Agile Manifesto. Which one gives you those warm fuzzy feelings inside? Again, section of 8 minutes, and we'll spend a bit of time silently, and then we'll do some story sharing as well. It'd be interesting to see if there's any themes, any clear winners as to the favourites. So this one's in the top right hand corner. It's not that you've lost that loving feeling one, sorry. It's that's about where are we not loving the manifesto as much. So if we can move the post-it as you guys have started putting there to the top right hand corner one, that'd be great.
Can we add an emoticon on value that we do share with someone who already wrote it?
Absolutely, yeah. If you want to add an emoji to kind of give it a +1, then feel free to do so.
Hey guys, just joined in. I assume you're working on a board somewhere.
We are, yes. We're on a Miro board, and we're doing a Valentine's Day themed retrospective on the past of Agile. So I'm not sure. Can you see the chat history at all?
No, this tool doesn't show the history.
Okay, let me just share the link again in the chat so you can get involved. Welcome.
That would be awesome. Thanks. I saw the description. This one was about the past years.
So right now we're doing some thinking about what do we love most about the Agile Manifesto. Which principle or value of the Agile Manifesto gives you butterflies? Because this is a Valentine's Day themed retrospective, so it's all about love and fuzzy feelings, given how close we are to Valentine's Day.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, 1 week is nothing. So
exactly.
So, Retrospective Chronicles.
All right, so there's lots around the people over process side of things. It's a common theme for me. Big fan of that one. Doing more with less, maximise the amount of work not done. A couple of things around collaboration, support and trust and motivation. So yeah, I guess if I could summarise those top ones, it seems to be all the ones around people over process, value delivery, collaboration. Yeah. All right, so who wants to share why they feel that's their favourite value or principle?
I'll go first. People over processes. Seen as we customer centric, it's all about people. Collaboration, all about people. People do the work. People are key to it. Without people, you've got nothing. So yeah, it's all about the people. It's all about relationship building. You can go as business-wise as all about account management, all about sales. It's all people. That's why I love Agile, because it allows people to be themselves and to find out what they're good at and excel at what they're good at, but together as a team.
I completely agree, though. One question I've got: how many of you work for companies that still refer to people as resources?
Me.
And they say, oh, we're agile, but yeah, we're still referring to people as resources. That's not very individual focused in my eyes, but you know, it's still called HR, human resources.
Anyway, we need HR to human relationships.
Yeah, I prefer that. Anyone else want to share any particular?
Chris, what would you rather call it then? What would you rather call HR?
There's loads of things I'd rather call it. You know, people operations, employee experience. There's lots of big companies out there who have already made these changes, and they no longer refer to HR as HR. Employee experience. What's wrong with that?
In my company we have people services, and the whole ethos is around the services they give to the people of the organisation. It's like to give to them rather than it being seen as a strict, regimented, process-driven entity.
So I love the individual's interactions over processes and tools. I would actually argue in this modern era right now, it should actually be individuals' interactions enabled by processes and tools. It doesn't mean that there's an over-or, it just means that we need those processes and tools in place to enable us to interact with one another in the right way. If we don't interact with one another in the right way, then we end up with burnout and feeling demotivated and things like that. But that's just my...
I would go for working software over documentation. And I think this sort of, stems from, years of, working in a waterfall environment, and you can, more than a year sometimes on a project, and you've not seen the result of what you're doing. And at the end of it, sometimes, even after 1 year, you can, get to the office one day has been canned. So what you have done for that 1 year is gone. So, these days, and why I love Agile is the fact that, 1 month, 2 weeks, sometimes you can sort of see a working software that, we often refer to as a, minimum viable product. I think that is grand.
It's interesting that, isn't it? I think if I was to reflect back on 20 years ago, the Agile Manifesto came out as working software. At the time, it was called the Manifesto for Software Development. But actually, that manifesto is being applied for so many industries outside of software now. Arguably, you could say it's more focused on working product or working service over software nowadays. But that's more of a reflection for the future of Agile, I think. It's part of the event in a couple of weeks. Anyone have any other thoughts they'd like to share?
I think they actually renamed it in this version that's 2 pages shorter. I think they removed as, I attended a talk by Ken Schwab last time, and he mentioned that they removed as many references to software as they could, because they believe that's not only working with the...
Yeah, I was speaking with Ari van Bennekom recently as well, and he was saying that if there was one thing he wishes he argued more strongly against back then, it was to change that word software.
Yeah, just with the manifesto is different because nobody's going to change it and touch it for a good reason, it's not like Scrum or something. So the history is in software. The guys who did it were all object-oriented experts, programming experts, but that's how it is. It's the origin. But up to us to reinterpret it.
Absolutely.
I have one.
Go for it.
My experience is working in many different advertising agencies, and then providing them with documentation to explain what they're going to get, and then realizing that they have no idea what they want. So my one was customer collaboration. I've just done a really good MVP. For a company, and the best thing was we kept the customer really close, and he imparted so much knowledge about what actually wanted and not what he thought he wanted. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, this is I think one of my favourite things about Agile is the shortening of feedback loops. You can, working alongside with one another regularly, sharing progress all the time. You can make sure your trajectory is heading the right way, rather than handing them something months later and saying, actually, that's not what I was looking for. That classic diagram they always show in any Agile or software course, where it's like a tree swing, and it was how the requirements were captured and how the business analysts captured it and how they created it. It just changes every single step of the way. That wouldn't happen if you had people working together frequently and often. All right, next section then. So we've done 2 of them. We've got lots of drawings in the way. Now we're going to go on to You've Lost That Loving Feeling. So to quote the Righteous Brothers, to channel from Top Gun, the movie, you've lost that loving feeling. So what are we not loving as much about the Agile Manifesto, and where are our feelings growing a bit colder? Is there any sections you feel haven't stood the test of time? Is there any wordings you might change? Do share your thoughts in this section. We'll have another 8 minutes. And then we are in the bottom left-hand quadrant this time. You've lost that loving feeling, next to the disc of the Righteous Brothers. A couple of references to the software side of things again. So I'd say from my perspective on this one, I think there can be a level of dogmatism that I've seen from the Agile Manifesto and how it's been interpreted by people. Some people saying, oh, you don't do this and therefore you're not agile enough, and perhaps too much focus on the left-hand side and not the right-hand side of these overall statements. Just because you're focusing on working software, it doesn't mean there's no documentation whatsoever, which some people interpret it as such. And similarly, these overall statements can be taken in that way, so it can create a bit of dogmatism and almost if you aren't doing this, you're not agile enough, and thou shalt not question the Agile Manifesto, you must follow it exactly like this. Ultimately, from my perspective, as long as it guides you on the right path, it helps you focus, it provides a way of starting somewhere and experimenting until you find what's for you. That's the value I see in it.
Yeah.
And it's okay, by the way, if you haven't lost that loving feeling. It might be that you think the manifesto is perfect as is, and that's okay. It may fit your situation and your scenario just right.
I would agree with Chris. I think the truth is that some of these things can be taken too literally. Responding to change over following a plan. I mean, if there's no why, then it's always going to be very difficult to actually get anywhere at all. There needs to be something that binds things together.
Yeah, and
that's just my thought.
Is there change for change's sake sometimes? Maybe you need some data to suggest why you should change in that way.
Yeah, it's like I put down forcing frameworks, like forcing Death by Scrum, forcing Scrum where perhaps there isn't a need for Scrum. Perhaps it could be another framework that's needed. There are so many frameworks out there that sometimes some coaches decide to sort of force Agile into companies without actually listening to what the company wants or what the client wants, and just say, this is what we think, and solutionize immediately without any kind of exploration or anything under the guise of, this is Agile. I think people sort of need to stand back and look at, exactly what is Agile, which is exactly what we're doing with these retrospectives. So yeah, I put the forcing the frameworks down.
Well, this is actually why I came up with doing these retrospectives, because I felt that we as a community hadn't practiced what we preached and done a retrospective on the manifesto itself. It kind of became this is it, this document, it's unquestionable, don't touch it. And to be fair, there have been a few attempts to update it over the years, but only by small groups of people. And what I wanted was a community-led thing. What do we all think of it? And if it needs changing, great. If it doesn't, it's perfect, great. Maybe it's just that it's fine as it is. Maybe there's some slight tweaks to it, like changing the word software to service, because that's more applicable for us 20 years later. Who knows? But I do think there's a lot of that out there. Framework first approach. I'm actually agile agnostic myself. I'm more of an outcome person. I'd rather a company experiment until they find what works for them, even if that means it's a blended approach, a little bit from Scrum at scale, a bit of Scrum, an experiment until they find what works for them. Because I think when you go in framework first, you end up forcing onto the situation something that maybe doesn't work for the people, and they're the most important variable in any effort, I find. Any other thoughts from anyone?
I was muted all the time. I was talking, but to myself.
Try again.
Yeah. You can do Agile, but not smart enough to push a button. Anyways, I was listening and I was fully agreeing, because what I really find is the most negative for me is this over ideology. How do you, zealotism? Being a zealot?
Yeah.
How do you say? Being they call themselves purists, but I think that's framing it in a positive way. I think that's limiting themselves and other people, like suffocating them, not giving them the freedom that Agile Manifesto, I mean, the ideas behind it were meant for, giving people the freedom to do great work, manage themselves and self-empower them. I mean, find some self-empowerment. And so when you do that, you avoid you miss common sense things, such as you don't start with the framework. I mean, anybody would agree that, even my little dog would agree, that you start first with your objective, and then you find the tactic or the strategy, or even the method or the coach or the bone that you need to get somewhere. I don't know. I mean, you start from the goal. I was doing some liberating structures trainings, and with the two founders of liberating structures, and they kept insisting from day one, don't start with the liberating structure format. Forget about those 33. Start from the objective. They even made a map that shows you now, depending on what is your objective, what kind of problem-solving session you want to do, what is the context, which are the possible liberating structure formats you can use, and maybe strings and stuff. So it's common sense, but rationalization. So after like the Germans say, we're always much smarter after the fact. I agree, but it's useful to always remember.
Isn't hindsight a wonderful thing? I often say that I think if any of the agile frameworks out there were truly agile, they would include somewhere in their implementation plan a checkpoint that just says, is this framework even for you? None of them do that. They always push forward with their own framework.
Yeah.
And so I
always feel, what the French do to ducks, they force feed them, this horrible thing. They put food inside them, force them to grow big livers, that torture. Well, that's how I feel being part of those agile teams. They force feeding methods and maximize backlogs and crazy stuff. And in the end, it's not even about the idea behind agile, behind having some thinking space, some breathing space to think about the work you're going to do and how you do that work. You don't get the space because everything's being maximized. Plus those metrics overall in big screens. I feel like I'm in a sect or something,
Unfortunately, it happens. Right. Thank you for sharing. We're moving on to our fourth out of five section. We loved with a love that was more than love. This is a quote from Edgar Allan Poe, if anyone spotted it, the poem Annabel Lee. So in this section, where has the Agile Manifesto brought you the greatest value?
The people.
Yeah, well, share your thoughts. Where? And this is in the bottom right-hand quadrant of this board. Where has the Agile Manifesto brought you the greatest value? It could be personally, it could be work-wise, all sorts of things. I think there's probably going to be a common theme around people, but do share your thoughts. the next section we're going to do a GIF party, if anyone's done that before. Mix it up. Rather than just doing a text, we're going to get some GIFs about what we love about Agile or dislike about Agile, but we're primarily focusing on the past today and the celebration of Agile, so let's keep it positive if we can. Alright, people. Sharing knowledge, yeah. I'm a huge community-driven person, always sharing what I create. Freedom and empowerment. I'm a big believer in Dan Pink's autonomy, mastery and purpose, and I aspire to provide that to anyone I'm working with as much as possible. Autonomy, mastery and purpose. That for me underpins everything I do as an Agile coach.
Yeah, it's quite funny how Simon Sinek mirrors that as well, doesn't it, with why and purpose and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dan Pinks was a great influencer to Simon Sinek.
Good old Start With Why. I've got that book somewhere. I'm currently in a Be More Pirate phase at the moment.
All right. I didn't like the Infinite Game was good, but I found the Start With Why a lot easier.
It's a great grounding question, isn't it? Just to begin with, why? It's like you want to. This is what I always ask whenever anyone asks me anything to do with metrics. You know, how can we record this? Can we track this? Why? What are you looking to achieve from that? What outcome are you seeking from that? I'm always wary of metrics. Metrics to me are dangerous, especially when they're misused.
Do you guys know this one by Daniel Pink? When?
No.
It's called When? Yes or no?
I don't, personally.
Okay.
Metrics are danger when it turns to objectives.
Yeah, was it when a metric becomes a target, it ceases to be a good metric?
Yeah, I get what you say. On the contrary, I love metrics because it does allow you to get quite a good picture of what's gone before, so you can actually make a plan for the future. If you've ever done any of the Google Analytics courses through Google, it's really interesting what answers you can deduce from numbers, and it does show you quite a lot. But I do agree with you that sometimes metrics are used as targets, which is not the right way of using it. But yeah, I do enjoy capturing something because you can measure it, especially, for example, a decent Agile metric that's sometimes misrepresented is the happiness index. You know, is a team happy or sad? Well, what can you deduce from that? You can deduce quite a lot. You know, the team working well, aren't they working well? Is the conflicts? Is the resolution? And that kind of thing. So yeah, it's all open to interpretation. So yeah, I enjoy them.
I don't rule them out. I'm just saying I think they can be very, very misused. You know, I love metrics. I've got a Garmin watch. It just records everything data-wise about me, and you can use them to influence change. You can say, right, I do personal retrospectives every week, and I go, what have I done this week? What am I going to do next week? And I can use that. So I do use them. Big fan of them. Just it's how they are used. And my current feeling at the moment is measure a team's happiness. If they're happy, they're on camera. A team that doesn't want to go on camera, probably not the happiest team. I used to say, or I heard the phrase that a happy team laughs a lot. I think in this current COVID time, a happy team goes on camera a lot. And you can tell a team aren't particularly happy if they're not willing to go on camera. Right, what else have we got? Lots around people, opportunities to coach, mindset, shorter deliveries. Yeah, keeping us motivated, isn't it? Isn't it wonderful when you get to mark something off of a to-do list, you get to check it off. That's cathartic. So closing things out helps keep you motivated.
Yep. For me, I found another one that is for me much more, even more impactful or even more surprising than the one about people and all the great people I've met. It's the fact that now there is so many roles with coaching in them in enterprises. When I started working, I'm sure they would never have taken anybody seriously who said we need a coach.
Yeah.
They would have said, it means you're not good enough. You can't do the job yourself. Why do you need a coach? I'm the CEO and I don't have a coach or something like that. You know. Now you have coaches and it's normal and that's crazy.
Yeah, I like that. Very positive change. Any other thoughts from anyone else? Got a couple around freedom and empowerment, endless learning and growth, learning from others.
It's a way of thinking, is Agile.
It's a way of thinking.
Yeah. That's how I would explain mindset, yeah. A way of thinking and doing, but yeah.
Very good. Right, I think we're going to go on to the gift party. So the way this works is you go on to giphy.com and you find a GIF which represents your feelings about the Agile Manifesto. And then you can just get the link for it and paste it onto this board, and we'll be able to see all of these GIFs appear. Just a different way of capturing information rather than just using post-it notes. So www.giphy.com, search, I don't know, whatever, put in an emotion for how you feel about the Agile Manifesto, and then copy and paste that onto this board, and we should see GIFs beginning to appear. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it also myself.
Giphy with double F? It doesn't find it.
giphy.com.
Oh, okay.
It's there's a if you look at where it says gift party.
Oh, okay.
Underneath it, it's got the link. Well, you can't click that link, but it's got it there.
Thanks. Oh, there's a lot of great gifts there.
You will find so much.
Oh my god.
I love. I've added a gift party section into most of my latest retro themes lately, just to mix things up, and it's great fun. You can do gift party ones, or you can just get people to do a meme for it. Meme it out.
What? Oh my god. Who did this?
Yeah, that one. Got mine.
I'm gonna watch this every morning before I start working. Oh my god.
Oh, who put the Always Sunny in Philadelphia one in?
Yeah. Just pick one. Let's see.
Alright, so we got a guy with donuts. Looks like he's shaking his booty.
You make it bigger.
Yeah, you can resize it.
Resize. Oh no, it's giving me that. Yeah, it's
Patrick looking like he's meditating.
How can I make it play?
So there should be, if you've done it properly, there should be a button.
There's something went wrong. I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah.
See.
Got a happy cat one there.
Hmm?
When you're on the GIF, there's a button that says copy link on the right with a little link icon. So you press that and then get the GIF link. Control C, Control V onto the board, and it should paste it in as an actual clickable GIF.
Okay.
Got cats grooming each other. I hope you're not licking your colleagues, Kim, in delight over the Agile Manifesto.
No, it's actually cats grooming each other and then fighting.
Okay.
Like, love-hate relationship.
Fair enough, yeah. I can appreciate that. Any more GIFs to be added from anyone? We've got 6 or 7 there.
There must be a problem with this one. I'm gonna delete it.
Through. Oh, it looks like a dance. We're all gonna have fun. Enforced fun. Alright.
So can I play this thing? Oh yeah. The panda.
Yeah, that was my one, panda. There was some panda earmuffs around here somewhere. And I've also got a panda onesie too, so I had to do the panda one.
The one with the cats is highly disturbing. It looks like a breakup.
Well, she did say it was a love-hate relationship. Sometimes it's pleasant, sometimes it's fighting.
Ah, okay. Wow, it's getting philosophical. Hey.
What's this Be Unique one? I need to load this up. Be Unique. Like it.
Need to go in 2 minutes.
Right, I think that's the end of what I wanted to cover with the retrospective stuff. So we've created some insight here. People have shared their thoughts on the past of Agile. The next event I'll be doing next Wednesday is on the present of Agile. Before you go, however, in order to try and make sure these events are as good as they can be, I'm going to bring everyone's attention to here. If you wouldn't mind spending a moment just sharing your thoughts on this event, and you can do so by changing these little candy hearts. Again, Valentines themed. So if you double click any of those hearts, you should be able to type your thoughts. How could this be better? What did you like? What did you dislike? Anything to do with that. That will help me make sure that the next one of these is better than before. And thank you everyone for participating. This will be made available to those who couldn't attend on the Agile 20 Reflects YouTube channel. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to share the meetup link in the chat for the next ones of these, in case anyone wants to come to the next ones. It will be a different theme. It won't be Valentine's Day this time. I haven't decided on the theme yet, but it will be one of my creations. There we go. Link to the next one is in the chat. I've just realised these don't size very well when you type in them. My bad. Did people like the elevator music? I'll tell Meat Butter, the guys who created it, that you guys were a fan of the elevator music.
Yeah, that was me. I was a fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. There's like 10 of them to choose from, and I just chose that one. I felt it was just what I was feeling at the time.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I like the whole intro. I think you'd look really great in black and white in a kind of old retro 50s style. I think that would go really well with that elevator music. I think, yeah. Give me a shout, I'll help you out.
All right.
Chris,
yes.
So I've been struggling all evening. I don't know if it's just my computer. I mean, it's an i7, but it's spent the last 40 odd minutes at 100%, and I'm just wondering, the only thing that's new is this Meat Butter. Have you ever had issues with that before?
I've not had that personally. I know that essentially Meat Butter is a lean startup. It's a newer company. They're doing updates all the time. It may be that I'm not sure which browser you're using or anything like that, but it might be that it just hasn't worked particularly for you. I'm using Chrome also. I've not had this issue myself, but I can certainly give that feedback to the guys who created it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my task manager open. It just flatlined at 100% for all the time, so I've really struggled to do anything else on here, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that. Thanks.
No. Just really whether it was something like a local thing or whether other people were experiencing a similar issue.
Sure. Right, well, thank you very much once again for attending, folks. I look forward to seeing anyone who wants to come to the present and the future. And have a wonderful day.
Cheers.